We'll begin the show, as we have for the last several weeks, with a story about the impacts of the floods. And since February's bomb cyclone and subsequent flooding, many producers have dealt with sediment deposited in fields, erosion issues, and even an excess of loose corn stalks that have been left behind by the receding waters. Market Journal's Bill Dodd recently spoke with Nebraska Extension educator John Wilson about the best methods of clearing the debris.
In 2011, eastern parts of the state saw similar flooding, much like we witnessed with February's disastrous bomb cyclone. With that disaster came valuable lessons to learn.
So that was probably our number one question in this area, was what to do with corn stalks.
Nebraska Extension educator John Wilson is no stranger to damaged fields. In the summer of 2011, John was in this exact field trying to figure out how to make the best of a bad situation after extensive flooding caused sediment deposit, erosion, and heaps of washed-up corn stalks. The lessons learned from that flood helped shape the advice John has for victims of this year's devastating bomb cyclone, namely what to do with all these corn stalks.
First thing that the farmer needs to do is determine how deep a layer he has out there. That we had areas that had anywhere from a couple inches to 3 feet or more in depth of corn stalks, and we're going to have to handle those differently. If we have shallow accumulations of corn stalks, we can incorporate those with normal tillage, and that will add some organic matter back in the soil. Now, one thing we need to think about when we're adding stalks to the field, if we're incorporating those either now or if we're spreading them this fall and adding more organic matter to the soil, anytime we add corn stalks, that those are high in carbon but low in nitrogen. So if people are incorporating a lot of stalks, especially this spring, that they may need to think about that they may need to add a little extra nitrogen above and beyond what they normally would.
If you do feel there are too many stalks to redistribute into the soil, there are other options producers can enlist into their cleanup efforts as well.
We can move them off of the field, stockpile them in the corner of a field, and either compost them or just, which requires turning during the year to aid in the composting process, or we can just pile them there with the plan of spreading those on the field after harvest this fall. The other thing that corn stalks will do is that they do help protect the soil. Having some residue cover on the soil can reduce the amount of wind and water erosion. So the organic matter, if it's left on the surface, if it isn't all incorporated, can help reduce erosion in flooded fields.
If all else fails, burning the excess stalks may be the best option for you.
There were a lot of corn stalks that were burned this year, that if we have too deep a layer, the top will be dry, but you get down 6 inches or so, and between the sediment in there and the corn stalks will still be moist. They won't have dried out. That we've had farmers that have burned the same pile of corn stalks several times. They'll burn off what's dry, let it go for 10 days, 2 weeks, depending on the weather, and dry out another layer, burn it again, and gradually work through that layer of stalks.
While cleanup may seem like a daunting task, these practices could make a very big difference in when you are able to get your fields producing again. Reporting for Market Journal, I'm Bill Dodd.
Thanks, Bill. Unfortunately, there isn't a one-size-fits-all option for dealing with corn stalks that have accumulated because of the March flooding. What you'll need to do is assess the amount of corn stalks and available equipment to determine which option will work best for you.